What is going on, guys? Happy Friday. It's Drafters Day. And at the moment I send out a tweet saying, hey, we only need two more for the $11 on Drafters, of course it fills. So I apologize to anyone who sees my tweet and wanted to get in this. You're too late. We already filled it, which is nice. Nice little change of pace. Last week, we had a little bit of a delay in getting it filled. I get it on kind of the little bit, sites that people don't use quite as much. We talked a lot about last week, kind of how fun and how interesting and different Drafters is. And I'm going to go fairly hard at it over the course of the next, what do we got? 6 days until the NFL season starts. I think that we'll see how the overlay looks in this $11. Their $5 is definitely going to fill. So I'm a little focused on the $11. But I mean, $11, $25K to first in a, smaller field. I think it's a pretty cool tournament. And obviously the cumulative scoring, like we talked a lot about last week, is such a different wrinkle. And I think the one thing that's interesting about the cumulative scoring as it pertains to drafting right now is it's possible. So like we always have the issue on the other sites where the drafts are, like Best Ball Mania and even the Drafters $5, where the drafts play out over the course of the entire summer, basically. Right. So people have teams, like I have teams that are, you have some dead teams in these tournaments from April and May. We also have some just supercharged teams from then. Obviously, the $11 is not that old on Drafters. So there's less of those super teams, and drafting now, you have a real information advantage over the teams that drafted early, and they don't have as big of like an ADP and a value advantage as, so I'm definitely going to scoop some Kamara here. I was really wondering if Kamara would go to 3. I talked last week with Davis, which I just this morning. Davis and I recorded our weekly podcast, which will be up a little bit later today. But last week talked with Davis about how Kamara, I would draft Kamara second overall now over Dalvin, and so I was wondering if he would get here to number 3. So I'm excited that he did. Hello, Nick. Hello. Welcome. I don't see, trying to look at the names. I know Ant in here out of the 10 spot. I don't know that I know any of these other names. So shout out if you're in here. That's what I think. I'm not even saying that Kamara, I'm not a big projections person. I don't do them. I kind of try to weigh what I think payoffs are and stuff like that versus, and ranges of outcomes and stuff, which I guess is technically a little bit of a projection, but not quite the same. But from a median perspective, if you wanted to say Dalvin had a better median, or even like somebody else had a better median than Kamara, I think that's fine. But I think, the gates have opened up. The red carpet has been rolled out for Alvin Kamara to have the season that people have really kind of hoped he would have in the past, where he gets, the overwhelming majority of the work, like maybe not the full CMC role, but pretty close. And I think the upside is pretty crazy. Hello, Ant. What do we got? Diggs at the 110 is nice. What are we doing on the wrap here? CeeDee Lamb, wowzers. I love CeeDee, but that's an interesting AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb start from the 11. It's interesting. Cheers, mate. 11 spot is very interesting. I'm in some of these other tournaments, I'm a particularly big fan of getting just a little bit unique at the start. just because of how tied everybody is to ADP. That's a fairly significant reach. And I think it's possible people have, AJ and CD at the 2-3 turn with like CMC. I might even have that. So I have some concerns. I am taking Justin Jefferson here. I'm very, very, very on Jefferson here with just how things have shaken out for him with Irv and such. Let me trying to do this. Yeah, there we go. Dang, you guys wiped out wide receiver. I am going to take CEH, actually. I am going to take CEH. I'm trying to scoop a little bit. Yeah, I mean, this is just amazing, especially when you see a team like this that gets Keenan and A-Rob, which I like Keenan and A-Rob, and I guess there's perks to that one being a little bit unique, but uniqueness is not quite as valuable in this, right? You just need to score the most points, and it's a lot smaller field. You don't have the playoff weeks and all that, so AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson, CMC. What's up, Houston? What do we got cooking from the 5? Zeke, Metcalf, Mahomes. I'm not a big Mahomes guy. Not a big third round Mahomes guy, but I do like Zeke, especially Devontae and Tyreek went. So that's kind of interesting. Went 4-5. And I love me some DK Metcalf. Yeah, what's up? What's going on with AJ Brown falling in drafts? Like, especially, like you said, on some other sites. I don't get it. Yeah, this is interesting. I'm trying to think. Like, the problem with this one specifically, Metcalf Lamb, is I don't know how many Metcalf Lamb teams there are. My apologies. I'm bad at counting, Houston. Bad at counting. That's nice. That's a nice start. Very nice start. Too many drafts. I can't count 5 spots over. Or I guess I did technically count 5 spots over. I counted 1 too many spots. The issue, not this one. The issue with this is, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, like there's probably times where you were able to get Metcalf and Lamb. And now things have changed, so like I get it. But I prefer to do it with, I don't want to take big reaches on both guys. Like Metcalf at the 1-2 turn is not a big reach, but CD is a fairly decent reach, and there's teams that got him at the 2-3 turn. So I'm just trying to do those mental gymnastics, basically. You know what I mean? Cheers. Cheers, brother. It is fun. Weather's fine. We got football weather going now. Weather is cooling off here. I actually didn't sweat my ass off when I walked the dogs this morning, so that was nice. Good Lord, man. You guys are... I'm taking Kyle Pitts, guys. This is why I specifically passed on Kittle to take CEH so that I could get Pitts. Holy, this is a funky draft. The 1-2 turn, CD in the first round, basically, and Trey Sermon in the 4th round to a team that took Javonte in the 3rd round. Sorry if you're watching Nate's. Kelsey is nice, and then Nuke, and then Javonte in the 3rd, and Sermon in the 4th is this is kind of tricky here for me. I think I'm going to make this I think I'm going to make this bet on a little consolidation of the Vikings targets here. Got a really pretty balanced team going. Agreed. Thumbs up. Gonna try to figure out the schedule for next week. I want to do another drafters draft. Obviously, the drafters drafts have been scheduled for Friday, but these contests will be filled before then. Probably do next week. Gonna have the normal schedule like Monday. Monday is like has been like a results recap, and when we get to the regular season, Monday will be like reviewing kind of the NFL results. But I want to kind of review. My thought is to kind of let's take a look at just like where the overall market sits right now and think about the course of the draft season, like where we stand now versus where we stood then, and maybe some things we can do in the last few days of our drafts to kind of give ourselves a better shot with the remaining bullets that we have. So a little bit of a different results recap on Monday. Tuesday will be the typical Discord draft review. Wednesday will be happy hour per usual. And then Thursday, I'm going to try to mix in some drafts throughout all of next week. So Thursday will definitely be filled with drafts, and I'm going to try to stream as many of them as I can. And, even leading up to Thursday. So next week should be crazy. Should be a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm underweight on Thielen too, and I'm trying to do the same thing, especially like fifth round is I think reasonable. But some other guys have gotten bumped up. Right. The Higgins and stuff of the world have gotten bumped up a little bit, as they should. And I think Thielen should have gotten a bump down. But now, things have just changed. Irv is gone, and we can say whatever we want about Adam Thielen as a player. They got to throw the ball to somebody, and the whole like older guy archetype. Like, I totally agree. There's a reason why we were underweight on Thielen, and I think it made sense. But now, I think having him in your portfolio, especially when you reach kind of closer to a tier break at wide receiver, I think that's the right thing to do. People are afraid of AJ's volume. I mean, I don't think you should be afraid of AJ's volume. They've been a really low volume passing offense his entire career, and he has been a top 10 wide receiver. And so, when he presents to you the guaranteed efficiency and the floor that you get with a player of his talent and a player of his ability to earn targets and a player of his, ability to run after catch. He has the super unique combination, skill set. The efficiency is a lock. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the Kamara or something like that. Like the efficiency is like basically a lock. And so if you get more volume, I don't know. I'm not a, like I said, I'm not a projection guy, but there's paths to Tennessee throwing more this year, which would mean more volume for AJ Brown. Yeah, totally agree. This is when it worked out perfect. The same thing happened for Jamar Chase, or I guess kind of the inverse happened for Jamar Chase, where he fell. I didn't have a ton, when he was going before T. Higgins, and he fell. And I started scooping them, whereas, Visca, good Lord. Definitely Debo for me here. Who took Visca from me? Oh, that wasn't Houston. I was going to get angry with you, Houston, if you took Visca. Yeah, Julio continues to slide too, and I think it's pretty interesting. I think it's fairly similar to Thielen, where it's probably a relatively appropriate adjustment. I thought he came back to practice. Nick, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I thought he came back to practice, but I'm also not 100% certain on that. What are we? Round 7. I don't have a ton of Devontae Smith. So we are going to go with Devontae Smith. Yeah, I think Julio returned to practice. That was there's also like Julio was kind of going where he was going before he got traded, and I don't think the market really totally figured out exactly where to put him. Julio is one of these weird guys to me where, I mean, I don't know where to put him really either because he's Julio freaking Jones. We know he's going to be efficient given that he's Julio freaking Jones, and he, is in the most efficient offense, one of the most efficient offenses in the league. Like the efficiency is a lock, but obviously people are worried about the volume, and there's AJ Brown there, and like, what does this all mean? But the same thing as AJ Brown is like the efficiency is basically a lock. And so where does Julio need to go? I don't know, but Julio is a little bit similar to Thielen for me in that I don't want to make him like a big, huge part of my portfolio. I don't want him. He's not a guy I'm trying to take a stand on or anything like that. But I also don't want to go into the year with literally zero Julio Jones on this absolutely freaking loaded offense. And, I mean, he could bury you, in my opinion. Julio Jones is one of the players that could bury you. I mean, he's Julio freaking Jones on an absolutely incredibly efficient offense. So. What do we got here, Ant? Diggs? Where's you have Henderson? Oh, okay. I see. I mean, I think that's fine. Henderson with both of the Rams wide receivers. I think that's totally fine. I think it's interesting to make bets on offenses like that in the cumulative scoring, because like if you're just right about the Rams, it's just going to work out for you basically. You know what I mean? Like over the course, you don't want to take it too far, and I think that was basically your question. Like the running back and wide receivers on the same team, and the draft capital that you spent on them. That's kind of the debate, but I think this specific example is fine. But it's a good thing to kind of be cognizant of. I don't even remember who I have. Kamara, CEH, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Deebo Samuel, Devonta Smith, and Kyle Pitts. Definitely somebody I want here. I guess I should look at quarterback, huh? Damn it. Waddle was the guy. More Mecole, I guess. I think so. I think this is probably too much. But again, in this format, like, you include Higbee on that Rams team as an example, and obviously that's not going to happen now. But you include Higbee and then take Stafford, especially when it's a non-running quarterback. I think it makes a lot more sense. But, if you take Kyler and all these guys, I don't think so. This is a tough question for me here. I know I'm going to get run out of wide receiver, so I got to take a guy here. I was considering, he's not going to come back to me, so I figure I can talk about it. But I was considering Jalen Hurts since I have Devonta Smith. I still don't know entirely how I feel about Jalen Hurts or the Eagles, but kind of like Nick was saying, I was so out on him early in the draft season, and so when I do get Devonta Smith, or maybe if I need a backdoor with Rager or Quez or Ertz or something like that, I'm trying to use a little bit more Jalen Hurts. I also like him again. His playoff schedule is really pretty tough for like underdog and DraftKings, but for drafters, You don't care. I mean, you care about strength of schedule generally, but you don't care, about the specifics of 15, 16, 17. I mean, you would prefer to be peaking at that time, but you're just trying to get as many points over the course of the season. Yeah, I wouldn't say he goes overlooked for the running rookie. I think the running rookie is. I think a running quarterback is still better, no matter that whether it's cumulative or not. I still want the runners, but the rookie that may not play early, I agree with you. There's an interesting counterbalance where, like, probably more so Lance, because I drafted Mooney to give myself outs to Fields, and I obviously have outs to Lance with Debo. But Lance is like, if you are not getting those scores from your quarterback for an extended period of time to start the season, it's a little more concerning in this format. Which is, like you said, the point on, say, a Tom Brady or a Matt Ryan or someone like that. I still prefer the runners because the ceiling is so high and the floor is higher. Yeah, this is pretty much how I feel. Very clearly has the upside. Very clearly has the upside. Yeah, right. Exactly. You're never going to be able to get these guys, so it's like a moot point. But I would agree with this take in terms of this question. Did you guys run me out of quarterback? Not quite. Or, sorry, out of wide receiver. Got to keep my stacks. This thing kills my computer. Absolutely kills my computer. So Burrow goes. Definitely about to be at a wide receiver tier break. And the rookie quarterbacks are coming up. Not really too interested in running backs, given I spent 2 top 3 round picks on running back. Fields, son of a... I'm going to put Lance in the queue. I'm taking Trey Lance. Who am I kidding? Come on. It would not be one of my drafts if I did not take Trey Lance when it made sense. I think I probably would have taken Fields. I have a lot more. Like, I have my fair share of Fields for sure. He's in my top handful of corner owned quarterbacks. But obviously Lance is my highest. And I'm kind of trying to just keep that a little bit closer because I'm really bullish on Fields too. Quarterback run. Happy I took Lance now. Oh my gosh, did you get sniped on Stafford? That's funny. By a team with no. Oh my. Henry, Taylor, Carson. That is the highest of T's. Lockett, Robbie, and Jacobs, and Edmonds. Brandon Cooks. Marquez Callaway at peak cost. And unstacked Stafford when you have all the Rams. Sorry, Ant. That didn't go well for you. It's funny, though. Almost did. You got sniped by... I'm not sure that Stafford made a lot of sense. To be fair, though, it's probably... Yeah. is a pretty good tier break and pretty good value on Stafford. So, like, I mean, I do get it from that perspective, and there's different nuances to the cumulative scoring that I get, but not what I would have done personally. His receivers are real bad, and Beasley, Rager types are still there. Love his running backs, though, you know. Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Chris Carson, Josh Jacobs, and Chase Edmonds. Good running backs. Not sure about his wide receivers. This is interesting. This is an interesting draft. Matt Ryan goes. People definitely, maybe this is a hot take. So, like, in terms of the cumulative scoring, like, stacking is probably not quite as necessary as the, I would definitely agree with that. Like, that's what plenty of people will tell you, that the stacking is not necessary in this. And, like, relative to like underdog or something, I agree. It's not as necessary. The problem is that taking these, especially, I mean, I got to take Gabe, I think. Yeah. Got to take Gabe. The problem with, especially when you're taking the non-runners unstacked, is that there's benefits to the correlation even in the cumulative scoring, because, like, if you're right about the offense for the entire year, everybody comes together and plays well together, and then spike weeks are also correlated, right? If Matt Ryan throws for 350 and 4, you're also then going to get a spike out of Calvin Ridley. I think I have to take Kirk Cousins, and it makes me sick to my stomach, but I'm going to do it. Don't have very much of Cousins, but that's okay. But, like, I've heard a bunch of people say that, like, you don't need to stack in these, and I don't really think that that's true. It's a smaller field, first of all, and so it helps. The correlation helps to be able to get less things right? Like, I don't even particularly like Kirk Cousins, but, like, if Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen are going to pay off these top couple round price tags, I would like to also get the added benefit of Kirk Cousins, or vice versa, right? If Kirk Cousins is doing really well, I would really like to get the added benefit of that big season from Justin Jefferson. And like I said, I think what people miss is that the spikes are correlated. When you get the big Kirk Cousins week, it is correlated with a big Justin Jefferson week or a big Adam Thielen week, right? Especially for the non-runners. When Matt Ryan has a big week, it's all passing. And so, especially in a concentrated offense, but even in general, that's then going to be correlated with the big weeks. And you want those big weeks to match up together, not just like, it doesn't play out like this, right? Your players' fantasy points don't play out like this. They go like this. And so I want these to come together, and then when they don't, and then when they have the downs, somebody else on your team steps up, right? The other stack that you have has that good week, and then you're just hoping that it all plays out together. So I kind of think we need to be prioritizing the stacks here. Like I said, it's not quite the same way, that it works for you in this format, but I still think it's important. Done at quarterback. We got Pitts. Wide receiver is getting pretty gross. Almost time to start looking at running back. This is interesting. The drafts are getting different for sure, with all the cuts and with all the, us starting to figure out who has what role. We've solidified, for the most part, most of the roles outside of, like, I guess, like the Chargers. I have no idea what to do with the other Chargers backs, but like most of these backfields, the receiver rooms and everything are pretty figured out. So it's very interesting to kind of see where we get to these pockets of the drafts. And Tyson. I was thinking about taking Tyson there, so that's unfortunate. But we'll just lock up tight end. Two of my favorite kind of young breakout tight ends. Got my 2 quarterbacks. Gives me an additional Bears bet, right, with Mooney and Kmet. So Fields helps elevate the offense. I guess it is Gainwell, which also same thing gives me another little bet on the Eagles. I like to do these little things, in drafts, where I guess I should pull up my roster instead of using the board. Like obviously I have like stacking up small little, they're like on Underdog and stuff, they're like secondary stacks that you want like for your tournaments, but they're also like small secondary bets on offenses, right? Obviously everybody thinks about, okay, you have a 49er stack because you have Lance to Debo. You have a Minnesota stack because you have Cousins, Jefferson, Thielen. But like I also have like some additional correlations and some additional bets on offenses. And I like pairing a bunch of those up together, because even then when you like, obviously again, this is cumulative scoring. So even in kind of some weeks that the 49ers are just okay, the Vikings are just okay. All right, you got a bet on the Chiefs with CEH and Hardman. You have a bet on the Eagles with Devonta Smith and Kenneth Gainwell. You have a bet on the Bears with Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet, right? And you just start stacking these bets together onto teams. And I think it kind of helps give you this perfect combination of floor, ceiling, both for individual weeks, like playoff weeks on other sites, and then it consolidates the amount of things you have to get right in this format. You don't have to cherry pick as many teams, right? I've got my Bears. I could have taken plenty of guys there over Kmet, or I could have taken other guys there over Mooney. But now I've got a little bit more focused in bet on the Bears on this team, and on another team, maybe that's a more focused in bet on the Dolphins or whatever. Wide receivers looking okay. Running back is starting to get thin as we get closer to the season. It's still the stronger position at the end of drafts, I think. Much stronger, I think, actually, than wide receiver. Definitely a lot stronger than tight end. But we're just losing guys, Darrington. We don't know what happened with the Chargers. We don't know what's going on with the Chargers. Darrington is gone. Gallman replaces Allison now. Trying to think. There's just guys are getting pushed up, right? Damian used to go super late. Now he's much more expensive. Eagles cut guys. Things are getting solidified, but that also usually like rises the prices of the guys that we feel good about, we feel comfortable about. Yeah, I will get to this in a second, Houston. Definitely got to add Diami to the queue. Yeah. Michelle is definitely a very, very interesting one. Like he could like maybe be the best running back pick in all of fantasy right now at where he goes. He could also be the worst. If Henderson is really closer to like the full-time guy, Michelle's just kind of there to provide depth and spell him. Like he's overpriced. But some people, the flip side is also true. If Henderson is not a guy that they want to trust with the full workload and he's more of the change of pace back and they brought Sony in to kind of be more the man, or just Sony takes over the course of the season, or Henderson goes down, Sony has a lot of upside. I am just getting another Ty Johnson share. What a surprise. I'm happy with this team. Kirk Cousins isn't my favorite quarterback or anything, but I'm happy with the rest of this. Not my best group of wide receivers, which is what happens when you take Kamara in the first, CEH in the third, and Pitts in the fourth. But that's why we're going to take 10 or 11. Probably 11. Yeah. 11 wide receivers on this team. Just get a little Kamara and CEH smash. I guess I can probably start adding some of these guys to the queue. I don't care if you take them. They're just dudes. They are just dudes. What a funny group of names. R.I.P. Colin Johnson. R.I.P. The good old days when we felt like Colin Johnson was not only going to make the team, but he might actually play. Those were good times. 2-2. Holy cow, it's bad down here. See what I mean about late wide receivers? I should not have taken Ty Johnson. That was a mistake. My goodness gracious. What's up with Isaiah McKenzie? Is he alive? Shoulder, a detailed discussion. What a mess. These injuries, these preseason injuries. I think he's in my queue. I'm not showing my queue, but there's guys in there. It's bad, though. This is bad. Bad. With Lance and Cousins in this format, you don't feel too boxed into using Cousins scores for a decent amount of weeks. Seems like there's a third queue. I'm not worried about raising my floor. I'm betting on like Cousins actually is a pretty darn good pairing with Lance early in the season because the Viking schedule is like amazing, absolutely amazing schedule for the start of the year until Lance can take over the full-time job. And I don't know. I everybody else seems to be a lot more onto this 3 QB thing than I am. I'll come back to that in just a second. Got some wide receivers to draft here. Like what raises my floor is more shots at the other positions. I'm not worried about using like my quarterback is going to get a certain amount of points for me every single week. I have a bet on the Vikings. I'm assuming that the Vikings are going to do fairly well every single week. And the quarterback is just like you're just like never really gaining that many points with a third quarterback. Like even in a down Kirk Cousins week, you're getting 16 points or something. Let's just say that, right? Yeah, 15 points for an easy number. You're getting 15 points. Okay, you took Sam Darnold here late, and he gets you 25. I think it's 10 points in like a ceiling Sam Darnold week. I'm not really that worried about it, but I need my shots on these other positions. They're just more important. So, I think I'm just far, far, far lower than the market seems to be on the sole 3 quarterback thing. Even in 20 rounds, I actually think having only 2 is like a huge benefit in 20 rounds, because even when you take the detours that I took early on, right? I took a first round running back, a third round running back, and a fourth round tight end. So I'm like gonna have some of the weakest wide receivers in the draft. And so how do I make up for that? Is by pushing the limits of the most bankable position in fantasy, which is quarterback. It's the one position where, like, assuming you don't have like Daniel Jones as your only quarterback, you're going to be fine. Those guys, like, everybody scores 15 to 25 points. You get some spikes here and there, but those spikes don't come from the guy you get in the 18th round. Those spikes come from Kyler Murray and Josh Allen, whatever. And I don't have that guy. But I'm okay with that. That's what Lance is for. Cousins just got to get me by until I can have the combination of 2 of them. And the combination of the 2 of them is an awesome upside pairing. You just got to get there. But Daniel Jones or Teddy Bridgewater, even Mac Jones, those guys aren't giving you something to where you feel like you need them with Kirk Cousins. And especially because you only need, you're talking about taking a guy that is almost assuredly, even in his ceiling weeks, going to provide you very little in terms of additional points into your lineup, right? Cousins has a bad game and scores 15 points. And Mac Jones has a good game and scores 27 points. That's like the dream. And that has to happen before Lance becomes a starter. He has to outscore him by X amount of points. It has to happen before Lance becomes a starter. And then you've admitted that guy's like basically useless for your team. And the rest of the weeks through, from weeks 5 or 6 to week 17, you have admitted that you would rather have the other position. And so I would just rather bet on the fact that it's fine. I'll use Cousins' score for a few weeks until that guy comes into my lineup. Maybe Lance starts week 1. I think that's less likely now than it was just a little bit ago, but who knows? Or, they're splitting time and Lance puts up a big week, even though he's splitting time with Jimmy G, right? There's just, I don't like to like plan for these like, scary floor outcomes. I want to try to maximize what happens if this team is right. Alive number 5. Guess I should start to. Oh, baby. Is I assume, did Gallman go? Yes. Okay, we're gonna take Pete Ryan then. It's correct. Only one position matters. I think tight ends matter when their name's Kyle Pitts. All right, fun team, fun draft. I really enjoy these drafters drafts. These are a lot of fun. Thank you guys for joining. No saucing or anything like that today. I know we're almost done. You guys are wrapping up. I do kind of dislike that screenshot there. Draft completed. Like I was saying, trying to map out the exact schedule for next week. I'm hoping to have that up over this weekend so we can kind of see what next week looks like. It's going to be a draft-a-thon. I was talking to Davis earlier today and just talking about over the course of the next week how many drafts everybody's got to get in. And it's going to be absolutely bananas. But I'm looking forward to it. One last week of a grind of drafts, and then it's here. And then we get to finally see how these things shake out. But I'll be posting that podcast. It was actually a really interesting discussion I had with Davis. That'll be up here shortly, both on the YouTube channel and on the podcast feed. And then I'm out this weekend. Last couple of days kind of off, if you will, before the season gets here. Obviously, holiday weekend. Everybody have a good, wonderful holiday weekend. We'll be back. I'll be back on Monday, even though it's the holiday. I'll be back on Monday, chatting it up a little bit, heading into the last final stretch. So for me, and for the guy that drafted all the high T running backs, and for Ant, who got shut out of his Ram stack, and for everybody drafting the rest of this weekend, thank you guys. And I'll see you on Monday.